Okay, hello everyone. So today's session, which will be conducted by Umesh, he is a professional with 25 years of experience. He was having good experience with UNB, and details I will share with you in a minute. So to start with, Umesh, can you share the screen so that we can start, and then we'll take through everyone.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the session is all about 5 key challenges for effective strategy implementation, which will be going for 1.5 hour. Some of the webinar etiquettes, which I just want to remind everyone to ensure your session on the mute. Keep your video on throughout the session if possible. That is your choice. And whenever you want to speak, you can unmute yourself, you can speak. If you want to in between, if you have anything, there is an option to raise hand on the Zoom, which you can very well use. And right now, basically, after your question and answer the session, so Umesh will take us through his thoughts, and what are the question and answer that we'll hold it for the session at the end, and then we can interact with him considering his experience. Just Umesh, the next slide so that I can tell everyone. This one, like Umesh's profile. So he has 25 years of experience with strategy, market research, and customer experience. He has worked with various global companies and different organizations in UAE, USA, India. As I mentioned, he's also with UNB for quite long time, and currently he's in Abu Dhabi. And in this area, he has authored in many other things. Just I want to put everyone on mute. Okay, everyone is on mute now. So this one is a brief profile about the Umesh, which you can very well see on the screen as well. And post that one, I would like to hand it over to Umesh. And Umesh, in between, you need to unmute yourself first and then start, because I muted everyone. So and in between, you can tell me, anyone who have any questions, they can raise their hands in between, and I will be assisting in between, and we'll start with. So welcome Umesh, and thanks for your willingness to contribute to the AMI Parivar, and in turn all our professionals will get benefited out of it. Guys, I know I'll put the annotations off now. Yes, Umesh, you can continue.
Yes. Thank you so much, Suhas, for the opportunity today, and I am so very excited to share my experiences in the topic, which is everybody's pet and everybody's challenge from that point of view, and that is 5 key challenges for effective strategy implementation. Thank you. A very warm welcome to each and every one of you for taking the time out and coming and attending this webinar. We are going to try and make this as interesting as possible. We know we are aware of strategy, but there's something that we want to be reminded about, and there's something that we want to be careful about going forward, especially knowing the fact that strategy has become one of the most touched upon, talked about subjects in organizations, and it has come into the limelight, especially after the COVID-19 situation last 4 to 5 months. The agenda is what you see on your screens before you. Now, whilst we will be focusing on strategy implementation, we cannot talk about implementation unless and until we touch upon strategy formation. I will be briefly talking about strategy formation, getting into strategy implementation, which is what this webinar is all about, and then culminating with a short little review in terms of what you need to do to implement the strategy and review the strategy that you would have just agreed to implement in your organization. So super excited, wanting to share a lot of the experiences over the next hour and a half, and request you to be able to take full advantage of this as we proceed along. Before we get along, I just would like to have a short poll, just a 1-minute poll. Suhas, can you please help me conduct this poll? The question for the poll is, what is more important in your opinion? Is it strategy development? Is it strategy implementation? Is it strategy review? Or all equally important? So if you can please click your option, and we know exactly what this audience here thinks about strategy, and I request you to just click on the option which is now ahead of your screens. And we'll just give it another 30-40 seconds, and
already 77% people have already responded.
Okay,
We'll
great.
For another 20 seconds and then start.
Sure. You will have the results also to share? So
yeah, I will share the result.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'll end the poll and then we'll start with the session.
Sure.
I will share the results with everyone.
Okay.
So now you can see the result on your screen.
All right. So what I have is 67%, 2/3 of this audience here tonight are saying all are equally important. 17% are saying strategy implementation, 14% strategy development. What is very interesting coming out of this audience is 2/3 of you are saying all are equally important. And we will touch upon this as we proceed ahead. But in many, I think I've got all equally important in about, I think the last time when I said it was strategy development, and today it's all are equally important. So this is an interesting piece that I get to see tonight. Wonderful. So thank you so much for that. We will be talking about it. It's not that we will leave you in the lurch and not tell you what is going to be we will get to a conclusion towards the end of the session whilst we talk about it. So thank you. Let's continue. So before we get into this, in organizations, one of the most talked about, everybody seems to know about the brilliant word strategy. It is used and it is abused as well. Equally, I would say, everybody claims to be an authority on strategy, and therefore everybody has a say on it. Everybody feels that what the other person is doing is not in line with what should be done. So we'll just touch upon what strategy is all about. Obviously, most of us know it's quite simple. We need to achieve something within the organization, and how do we achieve that is mainly through strategy. So strategy is positive. Strategy helps us move forward and make sure that the organization achieves what it is supposed to be achieving. What is important is that as managers, we need to have a single hat, integrated, combined, as strategic thinkers and strategic planners. What do I mean by strategic thinkers? Strategic thinkers are basically that you are flexible, not that you've put in your strategy in place and you need to adapt. You are not willing to adapt to it. You are not willing to change it. Last few months particularly, it has taught us that the basic mantra to success is to be flexible, is to be agile, and therefore that change of plans is required from managers to make sure that the strategy works. Also, whilst you are flexible, you need to be very thorough in your planning. And there are some, examples that I'll be talking about. When we look at organizations, and an organization says, let's achieve this. Why? Because competition is doing it. Or let's achieve this because somewhere somebody in the US has done it and therefore let me want to do it. These are brilliant thoughts, but is there a lot of backing or planning behind it that you want to achieve it? Most vision statements you see for most organizations claim hi-fi towery language saying, I want to be the number one in whatever I'm offering, or I want to offer innovative products and services. I want to offer superior customer service. All that is brilliant, but we don't know what we are wanting to get out of those goals that we set forward. As a result of which, since we don't know, we are not going to be achieving what we plan to achieve. And hence, it's very, very important that as managers, we combine our strategic hats along with our planning hats, and we are flexible to make changes as we go along the road to be able to achieve our desired goals. Along with that, we also need to ensure that if there are any diversions whilst we achieve our strategy, we are fully prepared for it. Why? With a single objective that we want to make it happen. We want to achieve it, not by hook or by crook, but we want to achieve it in a well-planned manner so that ultimately we feel good about reaching our goal. Nowadays, reaching a goal is becoming a challenge in itself. But if you've done enough planning, enough background, enough flexibility, there are a few organizations who have successfully achieved what they need to achieve as per their vision, as per what they have envisioned to do. So just very mindful, we know from this slide, what I want to just highlight on two things is integrate strategic thinking and strategic planning. We know that strategy is a complex process. Nothing is easy or simple, but with being mindful of what we do and how we do, I think we should be able to achieve our strategy, which is one of the biggest challenges for most organizations to do so, inevitably now than ever. Moving on, in short, what is strategy all about? So we've learned and we know very much for sure the strategy is about where we currently are, which is situation analysis currently, where we wish to go, which is our objectives, and how do we get there. The how part of it is strategy, and which encompasses three critical questions, which is where are we going? So whatever we do has to be in line with our objectives. Timelines in terms of when are we planning to achieve that? By what time? We cannot keep it indefinite. We cannot say when things will go right. We cannot say things like, I will see when I want to achieve this. Now, these are the statements that most senior managers have said in strategy meets, and as a result of which they fail because there is no timeline put next to whatever they have planned or decided to achieve. Another brilliant thing is, how do we measure progress? How do we know that we are closer, far away from where we intended to be? And therefore, the how part of strategy encompasses three critical questions in terms of where we are, where we need to be, when will we get there, and how do we measure the progress as we reach closer to our strategic goals. Quick definition of strategy by Professor Chandler, and what he's saying is, it is one of the good definitions, and therefore I wanted to share it. It says that strategy obviously is concerned with basic long-term objectives, and to achieve those long-term objectives, what we need is the allocation of all required resources to achieve the goals. We will touch upon this in the slides to come again also, but these are critical components for strategy. What are our goals and objectives? And do we have the necessary commitment of allocating all required resources to achieve that? The kernel of good strategy has three key components by Professor Rumelt, and I think these are also important, more so in today's times. We need to do a thorough diagnosis of what we want to achieve, and what we want to achieve cannot happen just by saying we want to achieve it. A current situation analysis is extremely necessary for where you are right now. And it's very, very essential. A couple of years ago, when we were doing a strategy session, one of the units in our organization stood up there. It is the business unit, obviously, and they said we are going to be achieving growth rates of double digit, which is about 20%. This is a couple of years ago, 2018, and everybody said, great, super, wow. One had to pause and ask a question saying, when the economy per se is growing by about single digit, which is about 5 to 7%, how, what, when do you think you'll be achieving 20%? In the absence of those questions being asked, ultimately, when the year ended, we all know where one would stand with the achievement. We did not even reach higher single digit numbers, forget getting 20%. And that's because we were not mindful of where we are currently in terms of the industry that we are in and in terms of the economy that we are in, where we are operating. Also important is a guiding policy for dealing with the challenge. How are we going to work towards it? And obviously the necessary actions to achieve what we intend to achieve. Now, some people, put down things and they look like, fancy statements and lovely points that you can see in their strategy document. When you do a 2-year, 3-year, 1-year annual review, whenever you're reviewing it, half of them have not been achieved. Why? Because a thorough analysis has not been done in terms of what you want to achieve. So it's important to keep these in mind. I know sometimes we kind of, blame it and saying, what can we do about it? It's our senior management, it's our environment, it's all very nice. But as managers, as input providers to strategy, I think our plans have got to be crystal clear. Our plans have got to be comprehensive, and our plans have got to be extremely detailed of why we want to achieve what we want to achieve. So that's on strategy. There are a lot of sessions that senior management or senior managers and teams do about strategy, and there are some choices. I mean, most organizations think about making bold choices of either investing in a certain piece of technology or investing in a certain line of business or expanding and including a certain customer segment. And all these many a times are bold choices made by senior management of the organization. But making those choices, many a times what we've seen is they do not get implemented, and they get watered down, they get hidden, they get shelved away also, and they do not see the light at the end of the day. What are these choices that most organizations need to make? Choosing the right performance objectives, something very essential that we need to do. And that's what we need to do when we are looking at our management by objectives. Are they, which and what pieces of those objectives are aligned to strategy? How are they linked to strategy? You ask a janitor, how is he contributing to the strategy? And it'll be interesting to know two kinds of answers. One, I don't know, obviously, but the other part of the story is, how is his job connected to strategy? And that shows a classic example of a well-communicated organization that exactly knows their role and contributions to strategy. Making the right choices, again, nice motherhood statements, many a times heard than implemented. Words such as innovative, state of the art, superior, all these are nice, but what do we mean by them? You're going to innovate products and services, great, but what does that mean? Are you going to be the first one in the industry to implement it? Or are you going to be the first one in the organization to implement it? Which geographies are you going to implement it in? What customer segments are you going to get it from? And I think these are the details that you need to put into a place before you can actually say we are going to implement new products and services. Many a times we ask for, when our organizations will start our business planning cycle come Q4 this year. And in the good, nice days, one of the key things in the business plans was, I need X number of staff. Say, for example, I need 10 new staff to grow my business or grow my portfolio in the coming year. This is December. You're asking for 10 new people. By the time the person is brought on board, it takes about 6 months to do so. So your first quarter for sure, if not the first half of the year, is going to go in recruitment. When are you going to implement? A question that needs to be paused, asked, and therefore decided based on these realities. Let's make realistic objectives and not, Alice in Wonderland stories where we have an objective for the sake of having an objective. What business model is going to work for us? Should we have in-house or should we outsource the services? Is outsourcing a good service model now because it's going to help you save on costs? All organizations nowadays are talking about saving not from any other aspect, but cost-cutting measures that they're deploying in organizations. So there are two aspects: either increase revenue or decrease costs. Most organizations are starting, their starting points are decrease in costs. So how do we decrease costs? And redundancy, letting go of staff, are classic routes that most organizations nowadays are taking. Pause, ask questions. Is this the right way to do it? Should I do it because others are doing it? Should I do it because it is necessary for me to do it? A couple of months ago, rather, I was quite happy to read it in Gulf News when it said the healthcare sector is going to bring about a lot of transformation with a lot of digitization and the related measures in the healthcare sector. But one of the interesting things that I read there was the patient is going to be right in the center. So whatever model the healthcare sector is going to come out with is going to be patient-centric and not organization-centric. And that's a big difference in terms of what you need to do from your customer's point of view and not from the business point of view. So whatever models we choose to adopt, we need to ensure that they are customer-centric and not business-centric. Obviously, we need to make the right choices. We need to have the right roles, responsibilities laid out, chartered out, bringing about clarity. If there are committees that are going to make decisions, those committee charters need to be put into place clearly, saying these are the decisions that you are going to take and these are the decisions that you need to refer to someone else rather than you taking it on your own. Obviously, everything has to be done with a lot of integrity and transparency. Firstly, from the organization's point of view, and secondly, your customer needs to see you as an integrated quality provider, at the same time being honest and transparent. Now, if you've seen a nice billboard advertisement, which you kind of say it's a credit card ad, and it tells you like the features of the credit card ad, and below that in font size 10, like cigarette smoking has, in a font size 10 it says terms and conditions apply, TNC apply. The moment you read that, what do you believe about the ad that you have seen? Typically, the customer loses interest in the product because the customer believes that there is a catch-22 to it and this is not for me. You walk into a retail store and the retail stores lure you with a lot of discounts saying up to 30%, up to 70%. And when you walk in there, you want to buy something of your interest and you begin, and the worst is you find out that this is not even on sale. And what you like is probably a handkerchief or a sock or a tie probably, and that is at 70%, but everything else is only at 10%. And you feel cheated at the end of the day because they had not specified it. So if they had not specified it, you as a consumer become far more educated and believe in what you want to, what decisions you want to exercise upon as a result of what you see. Hence, it's very important to be upfront, to state what you want to state as you're offering to your customer, and no mincing words, no short font size. Make it very clear in your communication when you're communicating to your customers or target customers for that matter. CEO, a very important driver of strategy, and the role of the CEO is important. The role of the CEO is that of a paramount role. What does that mean? What I'm trying to say here is that, yes, the CEO is very busy and he has many other tasks, but if the CEO does not have commitment to the strategy is going to fail. If the CEO is not accessible in terms of anything and everything related to the organization's strategy, it is not going to be successful. It's not going to see the light at the end of the day. Obviously, everybody is going to work on disjointed efforts. You're not going to have a common goal, and obviously it is not going to be achieved. All resources, what do we mean by all resources? It is obviously all enabler functions within the organizations to work cohesively towards a common goal for the organization, and not individualistic goals, not unit goals, no egos, no personal achievements. Organizational achievements need to come forward rather than your own achievements. Obviously, anything and everything you want to achieve as a goal or a strategy needs to be approved ultimately by your CEO, and in some cases by the shareholders also, before you can venture out and say, this is what I want to do. And if those are bold business decisions like spinning off or selling off a business unit, also needs to be approved by the highest level before you can actually even put it as a goal in your strategy plans. We all do this for maximizing, and obviously we want to maximize whatever we want to maximize. Since we are a profit-making organization, we want to maximize our revenue and profits over a certain time period that we put forward. There's a question asking, does a strategy function require managers or leaders? I would say you have to move out of the managerial hats, so we know what managers are all about. Here are some characteristics that go with management. Managers are more seen like day-to-day kind of thing, but for strategy, if you are a strong contributor towards strategy, and input provider and input seeker, I think you must have all these qualities into you if you want to make sure that the strategy is successful within the organization. More specifically, things like you must achieve vision. It's not a fancy statement. It's not something that is put up there. It is provided so that you can achieve it. Obviously, any strategy is bringing about a change, and you need to bring about that change, and hence it needs to be transformational, among various other characteristics that leaders should possess if you want your strategy to be successful. Before we get into the implementation thing, the planning process, here's just a schema of showing what the planning process is all about. It starts with the situation analysis, where we are currently. And this current analysis takes a lot of inputs from outside, which is your PESTEL, which is SWOT, internal reviews in terms of, is it something that you want to, is there seasonality in your product and service offerings, or are your product and services being demanded or in demand all year through? SWOT, we know that we have strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths and weaknesses are internal, opportunities and threats are external. Anytime we write down there, that this is our weakness. When we do our plans, we write things out saying this is the weakness. Fantastic. What are we doing about it? Are we going to repair it? Are we going to work on it? Or are we going to just keep it as it is and then let that weakness get corrected on its own? Threats, guys, until last year, in most strategic plans, the common threats that one would see in the SWOT plans were competition, which is fair, and geopolitical situation in this particular environment. Over the last 4 months, I think a good component that one must inbuilt into your plans are the uncertainty piece that has come up, especially because of the pandemic. And in these uncertain times, how are we going to achieve what we intend to achieve? And therefore, the uncertainty variable or the component needs to be acknowledged and needs to be worked upon when you are working on your SWOT for your organization. PESTEL, of course, the acronym stands for political, economic, social, technology, legal, and environment. And we need to be mindful of all these aspects before we can put our plans together. We define our objectives, and as we touched upon earlier, these objectives are a combination of product and service offerings, the geographies that you want to be present in, who are you going to be targeting, what revenues are you going to be getting, and all these need to be put into crystal clear language, and so that we know exactly what we are going to achieve from We need to implement all this through balanced scorecards. We'll talk about it slightly later. A lot of people have views saying balanced scorecard is passé or it's not very effective. Personally, I think it is very effective provided it is given its due and it is taken seriously in the organization. Implementation, you need to ensure that you are implementing, raising the alarm bells right on time before anything else is kind of restricting or objecting the implementation of the strategy. And lastly, your budgets and related financials need to be aligned to your strategy, which requires you to either invest in a technology, invest in resources, training for your staff, and so on and so forth. And all these have got to be planned much ahead of time. As an assessor for Dubai Quality Awards, we had assessed an organization last year. And I just happened to ask the human resources head there saying, what is your training budget? And the answer that I got here is, we don't have a budget. Well, that's very good. But then how do you decide what should your training format be? It was when you dig down deeper, what I saw was the plans were on the surface level. The training needs assessment was not carried out appropriately. People took training programs based, it was like a menu item. This month you have this, which one do you want to take and which one you not want to take? So that needs to change. That needs to be aligned to your operations, to your budgets, to your plans. We all talk about a blue ocean strategy in our organization and moving away from red ocean, which used to be there earlier, to blue ocean. Just trying to put in place, what does blue ocean strategy actually mean? It means that you're creating a territory where nobody has gone before. Competition needs to be made irrelevant. We need to capture new demand. You need to, on the value cost equation, the value should obviously outweigh the costs. And ultimately, the entire thing needs to work on unique differentiation or differentiation in a manner which is most optimum for your organization. And therefore, when you are planning your strategies, make sure that you use these components when you are planning whatever aspect you're planning with regards to the competition, or with regards to the market, or with regards to the financial measures. Barriers to strategy execution. When we talk about, we put a fantastic plan in place, but we are not able to execute it. Why? Because we probably not planned properly and we don't have good implementers. These are the common reasons why strategy does not get implemented in the manner that it should be. So not because I'm saying so, but there is some research done globally on strategy implementation, where it talks about the challenges of implementation. Nicely put by McKinsey and Company. It says 45% of respondents said that they were satisfied with the strategic planning process, which means 55% were not satisfied. Gartner research says 65%, that is 2/3 of the employees, lack an understanding of their roles when new initiatives are launched. Another interesting one is 50 to 90% of strategy initiatives fail. And this is said across BCG, Bain, and McKinsey also. And that's the range that they're giving. And hence, what this slide is actually inferring is that strategy, half of them at least, are not seeing the light of day because of whatever reasons that they are seeing here, that they're mentioning here, that is acting as a barrier to implementation. So we'll talk about these barriers, which is what we need to talk about. And our first barrier is execution is an afterthought. We spend a lot of time saying we want to achieve this, we want to do this, we want to achieve this so specifically, blah, 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 in year one from this market. All of that is thought. And then we decide, we have to implement this also. There are consultants who come in who do the strategy formulation exercise. But the moment they are gone after that, the document is seen very cumbersome and very difficult, because now you're left alone to implement it, and probably you need another consultant to help you with the implementation. And therefore, when you are planning, please make sure that you're planning with the same mindset saying, we have to implement it. And sometimes, there's nothing wrong when you are putting your objectives in place. Do a small little example. Do you want to be the top class vanilla ice cream in the business that you are in? Or do you want to offer the 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins that you want to do? Both are superb objectives. Both require different kind of efforts. You need to pause back and say, I want to be the 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins, but I don't have the necessary resources for me to be able to do so. If you acknowledge that objectives that you're going to put in place are obviously going to be realistic and achievable, because you for sure know that this is what I want to do, because this is my in-house organization capabilities of doing so. So when you plan, very important to keep in mind saying whatever you put in there will have to be implemented. Very, very important. So when you have strategy, you call them as coordinators, make sure that you use the right person in there who's able to take a decision, who's empowered rather to take a decision, who acts as a facilitator between you and the organization and the senior management to voice your concerns and come back with whatever needs to be implemented, whatever needs to be formulated in a very clear manner. Of course, everything that you do is for revenue, but your starting point should never be revenue, in my opinion. It should always be from the point of view of how can I make it convenient? How can I make it better for my customers? So it should be, again, customer centric and not business centric. A lot of people ask me questions like, should we do a customer satisfaction exercise or a customer experience exercise, especially during the pandemic? And the answer is definitely do, because you would understand what your customers are going through and you can partner in, you can empathize with them and be on their side to say, yes, you also exist, you care, you listen, and you are there to partner with them more so at these times than otherwise. If you want to select the right set of people, the right set of mindset within your organizations, invest in people being empowered, invest in people so that they're able to take those decisions either as middle managers or as senior managers, as the case may be. Years ago, I had made a presentation to Emaar Properties, and interestingly, the presentation was interesting, of course, but I had made it to Mr. Mohammed Al-Abbar. We were told that we had only 45 minutes to make that presentation. It was on Springs and Greens, their property customer satisfaction survey. Not knowing what the audience is all about, not knowing what are people going to, how are they going to understand the so-called research and strategy that we're going to put forward. So I walked into the room thinking that nobody is going to understand what I have to say. Interestingly, not just Mohammed Al-Abbar, but his convoy of people were understanding what I wanted to tell them to do as a result of what they actually did. And what therefore this says is, people were empowered, people were wanting to make those decisions either as middle managers or as senior managers, and therefore Emaar had to its credibility what it had earlier, the first mover advantage, coming up with innovation, the only property developer which delivered as per promise, and all these were to its credit, which it leveraged for the first few years when it was doing very well. When things started slowing down here, they were the first ones again to move out of UAE into other markets, to collaborate with local developers and get out into those territories. So all these were strategies that they built with a good listen to the audience or listen to their managers to be able to get what they want to get ultimately. Lack of clear, defined accountability. Now, it's always the blame game saying, I'm not sure he's going to do it or she's going to do it. Something that needs to be put into place. You can have a central office, either called it as the program management office or the strategic management office, who is responsible to make sure that the strategies set in place are implemented. And if there are any barriers to implementation, then the right facilitation happens at the right time. The charter, obviously, of the program management office or the SPO or the SMO needs to be defined in terms of what they can do and to what extent can that be done and to what extent do they need to refer to people outside. So strategy in the past used to report directly into the CEO. Over the last few years, it is reporting into the CFO or the finance function, because the finance are the brakes of the organization, and they want to make sure that any plans that are made in place are supported with the right kind of financial resources backing up the organization. So nevertheless, it is a central function, it is a unbiased function, and most strategy managers or strategy facilitators need to make sure that they provide an unbiased opinion to the senior management, particularly the CEO, in terms of what is achieved and what is not achieved. And therefore, what is achieved and what is not achieved, an accountability mindset is important in the organization or in your respective teams that you're working in. And things like these, did a little bit of, I did a survey last year on testing for accountability of people, and these are the questions that you can ask, saying the answers obviously could need to be yes on them, saying I am responsible for the outcome, my peers and I are clear on what is accountable for what. So you can sponsor saying I want this and therefore we will take up the tab on it, but you have to be accountable for it also, and not just be happy saying I am the sponsor of this initiative, but I am not accountable if it does not get implemented. Targets, when you set targets, make sure that your targets are realistic, that is, you can achieve them. Make sure that they are aggressive, that is, taking the goals to a push, which is, likely the stringent kinds, and aspirational, which is typically in line with your vision statement, saying someday I want to achieve this. But be very clear when you put your objectives in place, saying, all of them cannot be aspirational. A good combination or a mix between realistic, aggressive, and aspirational targets. Determine, obviously, which ones of these are realistic, which are aspirational, and also look at what you've achieved, the trends in the past, to be able to say, in the past, if these were achieved, can you make a frog leap jump in the future? Can you achieve the thresholds that you've achieved in the past, so that you are able to make those decisions in the future? So obviously, the objectives that you put in place have got to follow the SMART principle, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Corporate culture is extremely essential, and your corporate culture should foster strategy execution. There are a couple of videos that I would like to show, and we will see them at least, and then we can come back and talk about it. And these are videos that talk about corporate cultures, which we'll discuss afterwards. So, can you play those videos, please? The first one. Hello, Suhas?
Yeah, sure. Just I'm going there.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Which one you want to play first?
Let's play the Tony Walsh video, the first one.
Okay. I will share my screen and then play so that
please.
everyone can get it.
The volume is not.
I switched on the highest.
We're not able to hear it.
While streaming, it doesn't get very clear. This is not only our session, but other session as well.
Just try now.
No, we cannot hear.
No, we cannot hear. I mean, say, yeah.
Oh,
Perhaps you can paste the link in the chat window and we will just play it at our end. Until how many minutes Umesh
yeah,
want us to leave?
Yeah, sure.
I will do that one. Umesh, this one is around 7 minutes. So you want
Yeah,
to go through complete video?
No, we can just go through the first 2 to 3 minutes and we get a feel for what it is all about. Yeah, because the whole 7 minutes is the same thing.
Okay,
We can just look for about, and then we can look for about 3 minutes for the Southwest also.
Yeah,
and then
I will keep it continue. Who are able to
Yeah.
listen, they can.
Yeah. It's basically talking about the organization culture. When I first saw it, I was zapped with the Zappos organization, and the corporate culture is like a benchmark in terms of how the people in the organization interact, work, and work gets done, of course, but it gets done with everybody wanting to work, wanting to participate, to deliver what they want to deliver, which is happiness to their customer at the end. And that's one of the key objectives that the organization wants to achieve. So if you can just play that again, sorry. Yeah, I think we can, we can stop it. And if it's put on the chat, you can, refer to it again. It talks about what does the CEO of the organization think, and what efforts has he made to make sure that the culture is one which has been transformed and which has helped them achieve what they want to achieve in their business. I'm going. Should I play the other one and see if it works at my end, or else we'll put the link, Suhas?
Yeah, that is just try at your end. The second
Okay,
one.
I will try it at my end and see if it works.
You can share the screen first.
Yeah, of course. So I'm going to share this. This is, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it is a classic from the Southwest Airlines. And this is David Holmes, his rap or flight announcement rap that became a wave at that point of time. And I think it is one of the classic till date, talking about a lot about the organization culture, people, and the empowerment that people can get to come up with these so creative things. In this case, a flight announcement. So I'm going to play it and hopefully it should work. Are you able to hear it?
No, Umesh, not very clear actually. Some mumbling, jumbling.
No, Umesh. Just you can brief us and then we'll go through the both. I'll put the second one on both the links on the WhatsApp group. I will probably put.
Sure. Okay. I'm just. Sure. Basically, this guy wants to talk about the flight announcement, and when he talks about flight announcements, how differently does he say so? And this is what he talks to the audience. And when he talks to the audience, he gets everybody's involvement in it. And as you can see, everybody is clapping and participating. And when he finishes, what happens is at Southwest Airlines, he is felicitated, he is recognized for the effort that he has taken. And when he comes on board to take his prize, he raps again in the manner that is very, very unique when he takes that prize on stage in front of the senior management. And he gets okay. So that was that. You can see, watch it, guys, at your convenience. Very powerful videos. Even if you've seen it, watch it once again, because every time I look at organization cultures, it begins to believe that it is more of a dream, but we can make it a reality in the little units that we are working in the large organizations. So I'm going to continue. And then come to the questions. There are some in the chat window, and then so I'll take some.
Yes, there are a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
We can continue now, then we'll go to the question.
Yeah. So after seeing those exciting videos, which mostly you'll see it at your end also, let's continue. And therefore, what is, all this pandemic has now given us some nice words of saying digital channels, agile teams, remote working, and work from home concepts for most or rather all of us. It was very difficult to work, to basically not see somebody on screen or look, and as if you're talking to a wall. The personal interaction, the things that you were used to, very, very difficult to suddenly use. Even on the first Zoom call that I did, I literally did not know where's the chat window and how do I share my screens. The video conferencing tools that you have, and so a lot of things that have come into our lives, especially in the UAE, because a lot of these were restricted in the UAE. And now that they've come into the UAE, we have adapted to these far better than what we think we could have otherwise. Up until last year, in any business plan for any organization, you saw the nice, wonderful word of digitization. Fantastic. But what are you going to digitize? Nobody knew about that. Are you going to digitize to cost save, or are you going to digitize to give convenience to your customer? With the pandemic coming in, like it or not, digitization or digital channels is now embedded in the DNA of the organization. You cannot ignore digital tools, because not just staff, but customers have also adapted themselves to digitally connecting with you. And therefore, a lot of organizations have taken advantage of it. And if they've taken advantage of it, they have been leaps ahead to organizations who are still thinking of what they need to be doing about it. So with the virtual thing coming up, life has moved to a virtual thing, and we have adapted to it far quicker and far better than what we would have done otherwise. And therefore, with these agile and with these work from home, with these adaptable people that you have, achieving whatever you wish to achieve, even in times of distress, becomes a task that is manageable rather than a task that cannot be achievable. Some changes that have happened because of the pandemic, and these changes are, we used to have I don't know about you guys, but a lot of organizations used to have review sessions on a 6 monthly or a quarterly or an annual basis. Interestingly, that has come down to either weekly or monthly basis also. And I was attending one facilitation session a few months ago, wherein we were meeting on a Sunday morning, wanting to know what is going to be achieved and how it is going to be achieved. What is the scenario if it does not get achieved? So Excel has a beautiful tool. I don't know if you guys have used it. If yes, great. If not, try it out. And it is called as the what if analysis. Now this what if analysis in Excel gives you 3 scenarios, which is the optimistic, which is the pessimistic, and obviously which is the realistic. And with your different variables that you think you can, that make a difference to your decision, you can play around with those variables, get these scenarios, and interestingly, these scenarios can be tweaked on a monthly basis now. And that's a big shift to what has happened to strategy, which we thought is, long term we thought was 3 years or 5 years. Now, with whatever uncertainty that's coming out, long term has now come down to about a year, and short term is like a weekly or a monthly review that you carry out every time you do so. Information is power. Most organizations, I don't know, I had found it more of a challenge. Information is power, and therefore information should not be shared. How many times have you had this frustration wherein you did all the hard work and you presented something in a senior management meeting, and one of your colleagues from another department said, we already have this. And how do you feel about it after you hear that? Why wasn't it shared with you? Why do people not know that this information is available within the organization? And therefore talks a lot about the organization culture, wherein you must share information and not keep it close to your chest, because information, the more you share it, the better it becomes to take a decision that needs to be taken. And obviously people are going to look at your information as a credible source to what you need to be doing otherwise. So it's important that that is taken care of. Overload of initiatives and initiatives alignment. Firstly, there are a lot of initiatives. Some have 40, 50, 60 things to be done. And when you connect them to the strategy, my experience tells me half of them are not even aligned to the strategy. So they are just nice to know things as opposed to need to do things. And that needs to be pruned, checked before it moves forward, needs to be looked at also, because if there is an overload in doing things, it will not be achieved. And hence, just don't keep it, again, would reinforce on the fact that just don't keep it because competition is doing it, because everybody else is doing it, because it looks nice on the document. Do it because your organization needs to do it. And there's no harm. Of course, you don't question it as suitable, question things. And a good approach is a so what approach. Every time somebody says, I want to do this, with a so what approach, a lot of clarity comes in whatever you are wanting to achieve and why you're wanting to achieve. And therefore, once you agree or freeze that everything that I want to achieve is linked to my strategy, things are going to be implemented in a far better manner. Everything cannot be financial. On the balance scorecard piece, you have financial, you have customer, you have learning and growth, and you have processes. And it should be a balance of all of these, and not everything which is customer focused, not everything which is process focused. So there should be a right balance of the kind of initiatives that you're going to put in place to achieve your organization strategy. Lastly, many a times people don't know. Remember the earlier thing we saw that 2 out of 3 people were not aware of the strategy, and as a result of which the strategy was not to be implemented because it was not communicated well enough internally as well as externally. And hence, sending out an email or talking to different units or departments is great, but is it working? Is it effective? Good organizations generally review their communication vehicles ensuring that everything that they spoke about or put in place is actually achievable and is actually communicated so that people understand it. And if it is not working, there's no harm. Change the tools so that you use things which are achievable because they are reaching the certain objective that it needs to reach. So collaborative teams are successful for the organization, talks a lot about reaching the organization intent, and obviously make sure, review it, test it periodically whether these communication vehicles are working or not working. If they're not working, there's no harm reviewing it, changing it as well. So if your intranet is not the best way to communicate, then don't communicate. If pamphlets or mouse pads are a good way to communicate it, then let those be the vehicles to reach out to your employees. So strategy obviously is a cascading process, starts right from the vision, right on top, to your individual initiatives that you're going to do at the grassroots level, ultimately all tying up to achieving what the organization intends to achieve. A snapshot of all the 5 in no particular order, as long as all of these are put into place, thought through correctly, the execution would happen, accountability happens, the culture fosters the change, there is no overload. Not just overload, but let the same person not be involved in doing everything. It's going to backfire on that person. Use different teams for different objectives, different things that you wish to achieve. And obviously keep your communication open. At times, if one is not sure, over communication is better than no communication at all. So make sure that you are effectively communicating so that everybody in the organization knows for sure what their role is and how do they contribute to the overall strategy. A few more slides, guys, and then I promise I will end it. It's gone beyond 9, but I will just a few more. I think 5 or 6 more slides. The planning part is over. The execution part is what we touched upon. Now, just executing is not good enough. You need to review it on a periodic basis, saying, are you reaching? Are you in line? Are you way off to what you're intending to achieve? We all had a slide or 2 in our business plans last year talking about Expo 2020. And if that is not happening this year, that gets replaced by something else, which you can sit and say, okay, so therefore whatever was going to come from Expo 2020, is it going to be transferred to next year, or is it not going to be transferred to next year? We are going to be doing this anyway. So those discussions need to happen periodically within the senior management and within the teams, rather than just saying we want to do this because of these reasons and because of those reasons. That's not something that's going to help you review or monitor your strategy achievement. Guys, just wanting to add here also, when we make any decisions, there's a lot of data available. Things like the Dubai Economic Development Department is now saying that the number of licenses that it has issued has gone up by almost 100% compared to what it was last year this time. The IMF has given different rating or different viewpoints, outlooks in terms of how the economy is going to be achieving its growth objectives over the next 1 year. There is the Hayes 2019 survey out also, which talks about that employees, interestingly, do not shift, or what is the one thing which is important for organizations is not salary, it is reward and recognition. And because they don't get it, they want to move out. And because they move out, they're saying, let me also ask for a salary hike. People are more wanting education allowances than housing allowances. So absorb, but don't just get it at the face value. Dig deeper and find out, answer the so whats or the whys to be able to get the answers to these questions if you're going to incorporate these sources in your strategic plans. A balance scorecard, we've touched upon it. It is a classic on strategy implementation, when you are keeping your initiatives, make sure that your initiatives are balanced, looking at financial and obviously the financial perspective, the customer perspective, the processes and operations perspective, and the human talent or the learning and growth perspective also, and make sure that it is balanced in line with strategies so that you achieve what you are desiring to achieve. It should be integrated. It should be integrated with a vision, and it should be integrated with your external competitive marketplace strategies that you would have in your organization. Strategy transformation program is basically a change management program. Change is never easy, and therefore strategy is never easy, but it needs to be achieved, because that's how you will excel and you will differentiate compared to competition. Just trying to say that everybody within the organization needs to work cohesively to make sure that the change, desired change rather, happens as per the vision set by the organization. So obviously nothing will work until senior management is not buying it, especially the CEO, who needs to be blessing it, of course, and also being actively a party or actively being involved in the strategy process. Use information, dig deeper, understand so that you are able to take the right decision. Generate a lot of ideas, innovative, not innovative, generate these ideas, evaluate these ideas, and then say whether we want to achieve it or we don't want to achieve it. And conduct a detailed analysis. A root cause analysis usually helps, or a so what analysis usually helps to understand what are the barriers and how can you overcome your barriers. Keep your transformations on target, align your resources, all back-end, front-end, enablers, providers, so that everything is achieved within the resources that you have budgeted for. And obviously, if there are any deviations, then plan for the deviations well in advance, rather than not planning for it and completely getting lost in the whole picture. So what used to happen in the past, like, if in a strategy review meeting, if the target is not achieved and there's a red traffic light next to it, and if the CEO was asking his subordinate, one of his direct reports, saying why it is not being achieved, the answer that used to come out in a particular case was, Inshallah, it will be achieved next month. Great an answer, but is that the right answer to look at in a strategy discussion forum? Because with that answer, you don't know, firstly, whether it's going to be achieved, and you don't know, secondly, that what is the backup plan if it does not get to be achieved. So pause, ask these questions. The more you ask, the more clarity you will get. So good strategy has certain characteristics. It needs to be clear. It needs to be well coordinated. It needs to be having fresh blood and mind and people who are committed to achieving it, and not motherhood or generic statements which you don't know how you are going to achieve or how you are going to implement those ideas that you would have thought through. So that's broadly what we are saying, that strategy. So you had strategy formulation, you had strategy implementation, and you had strategy review. And of the three guys, personally, in my experience, the most difficult one, the most critical one is strategy implementation. It's very easy to formulate. It is slightly difficult to review, but it's extremely difficult to implement, because implementation is where most strategies fail or fumble, as a result of which they cannot see light at the end of the tunnel. So that was my last slide. Hope it was useful. We may have known a lot of things. It kind of reinforces certain things. And once it kind of reinforces, it kind of, at least when you do your planning cycle this year, I would assume that you would be mindful of these aspects, what we discussed. Just looking at the questions, if you have any, keep those coming. We'll try to answer as many as I can. There's a question which says, what's the best way to measure customer satisfaction through surveys? Yes, surveys are the best way to measure customer satisfaction. But when you design a survey, what you need to be very mindful of is, what aspects do you want to put on the survey, what scales you are going to put, how you are going to analyze them, and lastly, what actions are you going to take to achieve the desired targets. There's an article that I've just posted on LinkedIn on customer experience and what are the criteria. I would share that with you so that it'll kind of give you a much better idea of a good customer satisfaction survey program to be put in place. Yes, everybody gives a very different definition of digitization. There is no common understanding, and we need to be very clear that this is not a fancy word used in the organization. Digitization of what becomes very essential. And personally, the digitization initiative in the UAE, according to strategy consultants, is about 1 out of 10 organizations are able to do it successfully. In the banking sector, if you look at ENBD or Emirates NBD, they're going to spend $500,000 dirhams on digitization. But what have they digitized? They've digitized the front end. The back end is still difficult. The processes are still loopholes, and therefore they are not customer friendly. They may be business friendly. So need to be very clear of what approach are you going to take for digitization. A so what approach is basically a very simple approach, which you are questioning every point. Whatever is being put forward, you need to pick the buzzword from it and question that buzzword right up to the point that you can get a satisfactory answer saying, this is what I'm going to achieve. And that is the result that I'm going to get post my achievement. So it can start with as generic a word as I want to increase my profits. And you start with the so what approach. It's downwards to get to as specific as you want to get. Organization strategy measurement, you need to put your KPIs in place in terms of what are you going to measure. So everything that goes on the mission vision statement, every aspect that goes on the mission vision statement, you need to have a KPI that is going to input into that. So if it's a benchmark, you want to be a benchmark in what? You want to be a benchmark in terms of market share. You want to be a benchmark in terms of processes. And all these have to be thought through whilst you're putting the vision mission in place. Communication channels can be your modern channels of social media or your classic traditional channels of intranet and your traditional channels of calendars and decks that on the basis, or your little note cards which we used to have at one point of time, mouse pads which kind of have a nice little 2-pager saying this is my strategic goals or this is my vision which my organization is going to achieve, and I as a member of the organization would be very aware of it and very much think that I contribute to it in this manner or in a particular manner.
Yeah, I have a question actually.
Yes,
good
sure.
evening. Good evening, Mr. Umesh.
Good evening.
Just one question regarding the vision and the strategy.
Right.
Obviously, the strategy works on the vision or the strategy makes the vision. This is basically, it's like a little bit, I have no that much confusion. Of course, unless and until you have vision, we cannot chalk out the strategy, no doubt about it. But I have come across certain situation like give me the strategy, let me find out my vision, something like that. So what is your, what exactly, I need a guidance, on that.
Sure. I couldn't get your name, sir. Your name is?
My name is Prasad. Prasad.
Prasad, hi. A very valid question. A lot of people get confused with this. And it's just not you. When we talk to senior experts in the organization, people don't know the difference besides the spelling between a vision and a mission. So vision, of course, is very long-term. Mission is coming out of the mission, of the ambition of the long-term, which is more short-term. And a strategy is prepared after the vision mission is put in place. You will never prepare the strategy and then have a vision mission after that. Strategy from that function is more tactical. Your planning is one of the outputs that your planning function does is vision mission is an output of the planning function. Your
Absolutely.
strategy defines how will you achieve those wonderful words that you desire to achieve.
Agreed. Perfectly. Thanks a lot. But just want to, extension to that question what I was asking. So instead of measuring our strategy and all those things, why not we should measure the vision first? Because measuring the vision is very important before starting our strategy. Am I going on right track?
I cannot agree more with you. I cannot agree more with you. I wish a lot of people had the same view as well. What is measuring strategy? Measuring strategy is ultimately measuring vision and mission.
Fine. Okay. Fine. That's perfect.
Yeah. Because if the two are disjointed, then that's the problems that we have with organizations. Organizations fumble.
I understand that. Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Guys, if you have any question, you can speak and ask as well.
Hello.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Umesh. This is Bharat. Thank you for the wonderful session. My
you.
question is
Welcome.
regarding communication strategy.
Right.
So generally during the projects or the organization communication, we have many communication goals. We define the target audience. We make the communication plan. But whatever plan we make, it remains on paper. And nowadays, communicating via video conferencing, calling, email communication, this electronic communication has become more frequent, and which is becoming a cause of conflict as well. So people are I have heard that people are telling to communicate very less time whenever it is required. So what is your take on it? How you'll define the new style of communication?
Sure. We are talking about communicating externally, right, to customers.
Customers and internal also, both. I am facing and I am experiencing both the cases where conflicting is arising because of too much communication.
Okay. This needs to be, now over communication is having problems. Most organizations have problems because of no communication or under communication. And therefore you leave it to the interpretation of the people. So that way the organization is still better because over communication is handleable rather than the other way around. Now, if it is over communication, I think a good step would be to see are there too many meetings where the same thing gets repeated? The senior management says the same thing, the middle manager says the same thing, the supervisor says the same thing, and then the staff is saying the same thing. If they're saying the same thing, it is wonderful because there is no Chinese whisper in the organization. Then maybe you can combine those meetings into, instead of having 4 separate meetings, have only 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean a brief meeting of or summarized meeting of all the meetings? Correct.
There's no need to have 4 meetings in a month, because if you're saying the same thing, it's only going to add more. It is going to add more fatigue and people get into it. If the organization culture promotes, then just send out snippets on the intranet. Keep bulletin boards within your staff that they can refer to and catch up on what they need to know about a certain aspect pertaining to strategy. Employee engagement surveys nowadays have a lot of your strategy questions being asked to staff. That is fantastic, but must understand who are you asking it to. Talking like your organization offers innovative products and services. Superb. The staff doesn't even know whether we offer products and services. Forget offering innovative products and services. So, and you're doing an employee engagement survey with them. So it's good, but it's very relevant to know what are we asking from whom.
Okay.
Yeah. So I hope I have answered it and not confused.
Yes. Maybe we need to think. It may take more time to think and change the approach, but definitely there is a chance and there is opportunity to make the changes.
Yeah, I will just say from my personal experience, it takes a lot of time. You will get a lot of kickbacks and you will get frustrated. When I used to work for Nielsen in Sharjah, and the job was wonderful. I had a job after that to work for HSBC or Union National Bank. And I chose to come to Abu Dhabi and work for Union National Bank because I thought that there's a lot I could do that I could not do in a multinational setup, because they had set systems, set patterns. and I was not able to do so. The first 5 years of my job, I used to always get criticized in meetings saying, my data is biased. I don't believe in this. People don't believe in what I'm saying. And whatever I'm saying is not of relevance to the organization. So by the time we used to present it to the CEO, there was a lot of negativity that had come across. The research function is what I started heading. And we used to only do 2 surveys that year when I joined. When I exited, the research budget from about 15,000 dirhams went up to 500,000 dirhams. And that was because 5 years in a row, I remember I had put down, and one time I was making the presentation on customer experience. And before I could say that your results are bad, they said, you're wrong, your methodology is incorrect. I don't believe in it. All that is great. And I was trying to explain that I was correct. People were not listening. So what did I do? I played the tape on which I had recorded the customer satisfaction call. And I said, you hear it for yourself, what your customers have to tell about you. So change is difficult, but change is, as long as you can stay on to it, as long as you can want to bring it, it will happen ultimately.
Certainly.
Yep. Next question
Thank
is
you
from
very much.
Yogesh Pagar.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yes, hi. Don't call
Yeah.
me sir, just say Umesh. Yeah, it's good.
Okay, Umesh, that's great. Yeah. First of all, it's a wonderful session going on. Thank you so much. My
Thank
question
you.
was more on the survey. Like customer satisfaction, we want to measure. As you recommend, after pandemic, it's recommended.
Yes.
So the parameters which you recommend, you told something. Can you elaborate something more on that one?
Yeah, customer satisfaction survey when you're designing one, and we can discuss this more in offline also if you need to. But when you're designing a survey, please be mindful of what questions you're going to put on it, which usually are a combination of product, service, pricing, image, and obviously your any of the brand reputation and credibility questions that you wish to ask. So you must have questions around these parameters. And please understand while you're putting that question, what are you going to get out of that question?
Okay, so means our hypothesis must be clear before starting that research.
The area of feedback has to be very clear. You can put a saying, how satisfied are with you with the service attitude of the staff? Now, service attitude means a lot of things. Do you mean
Correct.
friendliness? Do you mean knowledge? Do you mean staff being professional? What do you mean? Many a times, a lot of people are saying, do you believe our staff is knowledgeable? So that personally, I believe that is a very stupid question to ask, because you're doubting which means you employ non-knowledgeable staff also.
Exactly.
So then there is no point of asking the question, because if the customer says that your staff is not knowledgeable, what do you do with that staff? You're going to throw them out? No.
Correct. So that question is irrelevant. We have to ask something which will lead to us to get some valid information.
Which you can action.
Okay. Which we can action. Of course, yeah. Which we can work on that one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's fine. Actually, I don't want to take the lot of time of this session.
Sure.
I'll get into personally also, because I want to elaborate more on this research topic.
Yeah. More than happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yogesh. Any other question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't.
Umesh.
Suhas, are you saying something? Any more questions? Anyone, guys?
Yeah. Umesh, hi. I just wanted to thank you. I've attended so many strategy presentations, but you have elicited this in a very lucid way. And some part of strategy we can incorporate in our day-to-day life also, especially in these pandemic times. Something which is very nice. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. And I'll be taking some of the hints and implementing it in further discussions or further presentations.
Absolutely, Amit. You've been kind enough, and thank you so much for introducing me to Suhas. And Suhas, thank you so much for having this session today.
Definitely. Actually, we are right now. If you see on the screen, Umesh, Amit, Prasad, Yogesh, all these people who has contributed already, they have presented some of the sessions. So right now, the bunch of people which we are getting, those are contributors, and everyone they are very keen to contribute. I'm getting multiple information on those contributions.
No, absolutely.
I think we don't have any more questions.
Can I ask one more question?
1 minute. Anand is asking something. Anand, yes, please. Anand, you are on mute. Anand, you are on mute. Unmute yourself, Anand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Umesh. It was really very good webinar, and
Thank you.
I'm really impressed. I have only a small question. How frequently, ideally, it should be reviewed, the strategy implementation?
Okay. In the past, we used to review it, once in 6 months or once a year. But with the pandemic coming in and with things, the only constant is change now. With these thoughts coming in, I would strongly suggest that you review it either fortnightly or monthly.
Okay. And what level?
Because you can take corrective actions.
Okay. And what level of management staff is expected to be in a review meeting?
You should definitely have the CEO or equivalent in that meeting, because they are going to guide
that's
you.
Correct.
They're going to guide you to be able to take alternative actions.
Yeah.
And like it or
down
not,
the
there
line?
is no, yes. And down the line, you can have your team with you, unless you believe that the discussion is going to be very sensitive. Otherwise, your one downs should certainly be in the meeting, so they can also get it from the meeting. And you're developing them, they get it, they understand it, and they exactly know what needs to be done and what programs need to be carried out post discussion.
And a big organization, how frequently it's being done?
As I said, in the past, I think in large multinational local organizations, they were doing it half yearly or annually for sure.
Okay.
But there was some assignment that I had got last month, and we are now doing review. Now they're doing it on their own, but when we started, the review was being done weekly. Started doing it every Sunday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Umesh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry. I'm just going to play my last slide because I have my contacts played on it. Since I've put it together, please. I would like to share it. If you guys want to get in touch, I have my coordinates here. Suhas can also give it to you if you need to, and otherwise they're here. You can take a shot, and you can reach me by mobile, or you can reach me by email, or you can reach me via LinkedIn, and we'll be more than happy to discuss, collaborate. If you want to discuss any ideas, more than happy to do so. Yeah.
Hello, Suhas.
Yes, please.
Hello. If you are not ending, I have just small question. The last one.
Yeah.
Mr. Umesh, the strategy implementation phase of any strategy or any project, maybe. Generally, we have different methods of requirement collection from different stakeholders, and during this pandemic, like we are all working from home or remotely we are working. So when we ask or request them for information, generally people ignore the emails. So what do you think to keep them engaged in the project or any initiative and get the correct information from them? How it will be less time consuming?
A common problem with organizations, if you're requesting for information, they say, I have not seen your email, or I don't know who you are, and therefore it doesn't come. So your role in the case of information seeker has got to be established. Your role in terms of information gatherer has got to be recognized by the senior most person in the organization, the CEO or equivalent, saying this person is going to be asking for this information on this basis.
Okay. But generally, previously, what used to happen, there will be physical meetings, like focus groups, questionnaire. Physically, people will be present. But nowadays, remotely, everything is happening. This is happening over video conference. So people will attend the video conferencing or attend the meeting sessions, but they will try to ignore later.
Yeah.
Once they,
Yeah. In that case, what happens is you send an email out, and what has helped for me is follow up is one of the biggest, time consuming and the most critical tasks
right.
that people in strategy have to do. So you have to have your own balance. What I used to do is, send out an email, and half an hour, 1 hour later, call the person up and say, I've sent out an email. This is urgent. I need it. And obviously it gets established that if it's not provided, then he has to answer to the senior management because the meeting is on.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll
Thank
get in
you,
touch with
Umesh.
you personally, and
Yes, please.
we'll talk more on this. Thank you
Guys,
very much.
thank you
so
for the
much.
session.
Thank
Just
you.
one request, please give your feedback on the group which we have created, and on the normal AMI group as well. You can post, so that will be helpful. And
Suhas, can I ask one question? One small question. Can I ask?
Yes, Prasad.
Yes.
What is the approach? I want to say the traditional approach of strategic planning and the current approach in today's scenario. Is there a difference? Why I'm asking this question, with reference to our last question, the people were keep on sending the email, and ultimately the management is not listening, right? So is there any possibility, like if this case happened, come across with one of my friend, we are discussing about the artificial intelligence in EPC type of industry, where the industry is under resourced currently, and they have few projects actually which is in pipeline that can be routed through artificial intelligence. Now, so that the AI will take care of, and there's no need to have that physical resource. The AI will take care of everything. So this is what they were doing it, but the management was not accepting, or management was not even looking after that, and so the communication channel was. That's why my question was, what should be the communication channel? So the communication channel was basically lost. What my question is, traditional approach was on the paper. Is there any way to digitalize the strategic planning in this particular thing? Because that will get logged properly, and that will be, you can have evidence on the logs on digitally, something like that.
Absolutely. And technology can be used by strategy to its advantage. When you have strategy meetings, you can have those dashboards or information that you need from anybody. Everybody is trained on it. And at times what I used to do is take my laptop with the, traffic lights on it and present it to the CEO along in the meeting. And if there are any issues, I can drill down and say, these are the issues, and this is the person responsible for it. They need to be telling us why they are not achieving what they're not achieving.
Fine. So currently the communication channel is via email. There is no such tool and techniques, or we can say the software which we can drive the drive the strategic procedure.
Correct. That has to change. The emails are not going to be.
You are mute actually. I cannot hear you.
I am not on mute. Actually, digital channels are only going to help. Even if it starts with a basic Excel recording sheet, that will help as opposed to email recording.
Fine. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Umesh. It was basically the understanding. Most of the time, what happens, we get some direction from the strategy, and we tend to follow. So in today's discussion, we understood the way senior management thinks. So that thinking is very important, and basically that will always give the idea why the decisions is being taken. And not on the, even if we are not on the decision maker, still this synthesis will help us to understand in which direction the management is thinking, and how we can get adapt to the vision of the organization, and how to implement the strategy. So that one is a good session. Hopefully we'll get another session from you. I will definitely plan, and I request you to conduct another session, because that your experience will definitely help us to get through that one. And guys, next sessions we have German session next 3 days. Next Tuesday there is a session related to insurance, general and medical insurance discussion by Anushri Barve. Subsequent weekend there is a session by Amit Barve on the jobs and strategies, how to sustain in difficult times in the UAE market. So these are the some of the next sessions planned. If you are not registered, you can register, and definitely I request you to attend these sessions. It will be very helpful for you to proceed and learn things. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Umesh.
Sure. Thank you so much, Suhas. Really had a great time interacting and sharing my experiences last 1.5 hours. And thank you so much for saying that, because the whole objective was, how does senior management think? If they don't think, then how can we make them think? Is basically what I wanted to drive from this session. So glad it came out, and thank you each and every one of you for taking your time out, and for understanding and appreciating a lot of positive comments that kind of make me believe that the time spent was well invested and it was not wasted. So thank you so much for this. Fantastic job, Suhas, what you're doing. All the very best, and we'll definitely get in touch, and would see how I can collaborate more. Thank you.
Umesh, just one thing I want to add.
Yes, Yogesh.
Sure.
Yeah, if you allow me.
Yeah, please.
In next session which you're planning to go, just as a means advanced feedback from my side, maybe
Please.
if you can add any of the example of any Southwest or Starbucks where the strategy was implemented and where we can have a more fun learning also. So
Yeah.
just a suggestion if it suits you for next schedule.
Sure, perfectly. In the meantime, we would strongly urge or request that if you can see those 2 videos, in the next things, we'll bring in examples also. Absolutely.
Yes, that will be great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Yogesh. Thank you, everyone. I'll end
Thank
this
you.
now.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Good night.
Bye.